The little wave that stole the spotlight, Wang and Shen Yue's daughter shines. It all began like any other entertainment press event. Wang was scheduled to address the media about an upcoming project. Calm, confident, professional as always. Shen Yue, elegant and radiant, arrived to support him, her presence lighting up the room before a single word was spoken. The crowd expected glamour, cameras, maybe a few rehearsed smiles. But what unfolded was something no PR team could have orchestrated. From the back of the hall, whispers began, "Is that their daughter?" What was meant to be a straightforward public appearance turned into a scene people would replay again and again. A spontaneous fairy tale of family and fame colliding in the most innocent way possible. Reporters adjusted microphones, photographers leaned forward, and fans watched live streams from around the world. Then, between Shen Yue's gentle steps and Dylan's steady composure, a tiny figure appeared. For a moment, the entire room froze. The little girl clung shyly to her mother's hand, the first semi-public appearance of their daughter since her birth. Her presence was quiet, yet it spoke louder than any headline could. She wasn't there to promote, perform, or pose. She was simply there, a child caught in a sea of flashbulbs, yet radiating something softer than fame, purity. And it was that authenticity, that fragile innocence, that made the audience fall silent before the world erupted in applause. She wore a pastel dress, light as morning mist, tiny bows resting in her hair. In the middle of the blinding lights, she looked like she'd stepped out of a watercolor painting, a portrait of innocence surrounded by chaos. Her features struck a perfect balance between her parents, the softness of Shen Yue's delicate smile, the spark of Dylan's lively eyes. It was the kind of visual moment photographers dream of but rarely capture, unplanned, unscripted, and emotionally disarming. Every detail, from the way she grasped her mother's hand to the way she peeked curiously at the flashing cameras, felt cinematic. And yet, it wasn't a movie scene. It was real life, unfiltered and breathtakingly human. Then it happened, one simple movement that would ripple across the world. As Dylan answered a question from a reporter, his daughter turned toward the flashing lights, eyes wide with curiosity. For a split second, she hesitated. And then she waved. Just a teeny wave. But that single act was enough to set off an emotional chain reaction. Laughter, cheers, and gasps filled the room. People clapped, shouted "ah," and every camera in sight turned to capture her. In that one moment, she wasn't just a child, she became a symbol of something we all crave, the unguarded purity of joy. Within minutes, clips of the wave flooded every corner of social media. Millions watched and re-watched the same few seconds, unable to get enough. Hashtags like #DylanWangFamily, #MiniStarWang, and #Shen Yue daughter trended globally within hours. Fans wrote captions like "she's already a star." And forget Dylan's project, this wave is the real headline. Even entertainment outlets that hadn't planned to cover the event suddenly pivoted, running emotional features about the moment. In an age of overexposure and scripted PR stunts, this unplanned sweetness felt revolutionary. A reminder that authenticity still rules hearts more than any marketing strategy. For years, Dylan and Shen Yue had fiercely guarded their child's privacy. They rarely shared family photos, and when they did, their daughter's face was carefully hidden. This was their first real, public acknowledgement of her presence, a deliberate yet tender reveal. To longtime fans, that wave wasn't just cute, it was symbolic. It meant trust. It meant growth. It meant that these two stars, once fictional lovers on screen, were now real-life partners opening a gentle window into their world. And because the moment was so pure, it felt like a privilege to witness, like being allowed to see something sacred. The most astonishing part? How effortlessly natural the little girl seemed in the spotlight. There was no fear, no panic. Only curiosity and a playful spark in her eyes. Fans and reporters alike commented on her camera sense, as if she instinctively knew she was captivating attention. She wasn't performing, she was simply being herself, and that's what made her magnetic. Some netizens joked that charisma clearly runs in the family. Others speculated she might one day follow in her parents' footsteps. But more than talent, what people saw was spirit, the same radiant energy that first drew audiences to Dylan and Shen Yue years ago. While the world watched the daughter's wave, a subtler story unfolded behind it, the story of two parents.
Dylan mit sentence, frotze vor a sekund bevor breaking into an unkontrollable grin.
His eyes softened instantly, filled with the unmistakable look of a proud father who just witnessed a memory he'll never forget. Meanwhile, Shen Yue's face glowed with warmth and quiet pride. She rubbed her daughter's back gently, a small gesture that said everything, "You did great." That was when fans realized, this wasn't just celebrity news. It was love, family, and pride wrapped up in a single, unguarded moment. A wave, simple, fleeting, childlike, yet profoundly meaningful. It bridged the private and public, the intimate and the grand. It was the daughter's innocent hello to the world, and the world's collective embrace in return. For Dylan and Shen Yue, it symbolized balance, how to stay human in the glare of fame. For the audience, it was a reminder that joy doesn't always come from perfection. It often lives in the moments that catch us off guard. Then came the internet's favorite game, who does she look like more? Was it Shen Yue's gentle smile or Dylan's mischievous sparkle? Fans dissected screenshots, comparing features, even zooming in on still frames to debate resemblance. Some swore she was her mother's mirror, while others claimed she had her father's fire. But the most popular comment summed it up perfectly. She's the best of both, her mother's grace and her father's light. It was the kind of affectionate debate only fans could turn into global fascination. It's rare to see megastars let their guard down, even rarer to see them as parents in real time. That's what made this moment so impactful. Dylan, often portrayed as cool and stoic, suddenly looked soft, laughing like any dad at home. Shen Yue, usually composed and camera-perfect, looked natural, maternal, utterly human. For once, they weren't performing, they were living. The audience didn't just witness celebrity parents, they saw two people who found joy in something money and fame can't buy: family. To fans, this wasn't just entertainment, it was closure and continuation at once. They had watched Dylan and Shen Yue's chemistry blossom on screen, speculated about their real-life connection, followed their silent years, and now, witnessed their growth into parents. The daughter's wave became a metaphor for inclusion, as if the couple was saying, "You've grown with us." For longtime supporters, that was deeply emotional. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was pride in seeing the stars they loved evolve beyond the screen into something real.
15. The mystery of what comes next.
Of course, the moment sparked endless questions. Will she appear at more events? Will fans see more glimpses of this adorable child? Or will Dylan and Shen Yue retreat once again, keeping her life as private as before? Insiders believe they'll continue to shield her, revealing just enough to remind fans of their shared humanity, but never so much that it endangers her peace. That balance, between visibility and protection, might just be their greatest act of all. That wave wasn't just a cute moment, it was symbolic of legacy. From their early rise to stardom to now building a family, Dylan and Shen Yue represent a new generation of celebrities redefining fame. They don't need scandals or shock value, they have authenticity. Their daughter's wave wasn't a publicity stunt. It was an emotional anchor, grounding their image in warmth and truth. And that's what made it transcend gossip and become art, the art of being real. At the end of the day, Dylan Wang and Shen Yue's daughter didn't just wave, she reminded the world what love looks like when fame steps aside. That wave was innocence, family, continuity, a whisper that life moves forward beautifully. It reminded us why we fall in love with stories, with people, with moments that feel genuine. Because no matter how big the stage, it's the simple gestures that stay with us. Thank you and call to action. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this emotional journey with LVT Showbiz. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below. Tell us what part moved you most. Do you think their daughter will one day follow her parents into the limelight, or remain the mysterious little star of the family? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay inspired, stay curious, and stay connected with LVT Showbiz, where every story shines with heart.